Hi, hello everyone. This is Kirtivasan from the Computer Science Department of third year from VIT Chennai. Basically, in this cloud computing session, I will be explaining about Docker, and what is it, why is it so important in cloud environments, and how it solves some of the real-time, real-world problems that we face in our projects, And have personally worked on a web vulnerability scanner project. Basically, this is the repo where I have created in this and it can deployment, and I have deployed this this repository, and you can use if you want this in future. And there have been some, you can see the downloads and all those things, the repository size, the last publish everything. Actually in this, we'll just start with what is GitHub, and why we use it. So GitHub is basically, one of the platform that is for used for storing, and managing, and versioning of controlling the code. It helps the developers, to collaborate, and or track changes and maintain some clean and organized way of projects. If I'm building assume that if I'm building a project, there will be something called different folders like front end, back end, and everything. And I assume a case that where you want to run this project, the web vulnerability scanner from GitHub, you just what you do is that you go here, you just copy this code. You just what you do is go to a terminal and you just kind of type a command. In this, right, git clone and this copied version of code, and you will just clone this repository. Then what you will basically do is, just, you go, you can find something called requirement.txt. So what this requirement.txt mean is that for running this project in your, in your desktop, you just need some requirement that is been here. It is mentioned as 12 requirements to run this job. So basically you have cryptography, the playwright, report lab, and everything, and a Flask, that is I have been used this backend, and the versions are also been mentioned here. So something, the version of this or the above version from this. So the below versions also will have some missing dependencies, all those things. So some of the real time, disadvantages of using GitHub, basically why we move to Docker. So we face a, disadvantage in GitHub, so we just move to the Docker. So GitHub only, stores and tracks the source code. It doesn't store or reproduce the environment and which the code runs. So one of the real-time example, imagine I have created some this project, using Flask and Python. It might run, perfectly in my laptop. So one of the example, it might run perfectly in my laptop is what I meant this. You can run this. But on the other hand, what assume that I share my GitHub repository with my, with my teammate or you. Basically, that person clones it and runs it, and it might fail. Why is this failing happening? Is because there has been different version of Python or some packages has been missing, so it might works well on my system, and the problem appears is that is one of the biggest, the problem appears is that it might run well in your system. So this is one of the biggest limitation of GitHub alone. It doesn't handle runtime consistency, and we'll just move, why Docker over GitHub. So basically in Docker, it becomes this is where, it becomes exactly more, accessible, and easy for us to use. Docker is basically, the entire application with just packages, the code, the dependencies, the configurations, and the runtime environment, into a single container. Think of a Docker container as a lightweight box. So everything your app needs to run. So once you created this, container, this box can run anywhere, any laptop, any system, or any cloud service, and it will behave the same, exactly the same. So while GitHub manages just the code version, we can also say that Docker manages the runtime consistency. So basically, you can see in my repo also, you can see something called Docker compose.yml. You can think, no, this guy is using GitHub, why is using this Docker compose.yml here? You can directly use here. So one main thing is, Docker, GitHub manages the code versioning and Docker manages the runtime consistency. So together, when they perform, it's a perfect combination for the development, for the developer point of view. And just we'll just move to what exactly is Docker. So basically, Docker is one of the open source platform where you can use for virtual machines, and on all platforms that is being used. It is mainly runs on isolated containers on the same OS, making it fast, lighter, and more efficient. So some of the main three advantages of Docker, is something called portability. Is that it behaves same everywhere, and scalability is easy to scale on the cloud servers, and security is that the isolation prevents of cross app interferences. So basically, you just how Docker helps in cloud environment, and web security projects. So in cloud computing, the applications basically what we do here is that we just set up the application need to be scale up quickly, so to run across multiple servers and stay consistent. So Docker simplifies all that by allowing you to build once and run anywhere. From this project web vulnerability scanner point of view, that Docker containers isolated environment, that you can see my Docker hub. So this is my repository where you can see the backend and the front end, two separate in this the image management you can see here, and what are the images that is being used. And I don't have any collaborator, the repository size, and when it's in last push and everything here. And assume that case, for using this, if you want to use this, first you will basically download the Docker desktop. So basically, Docker desktop is here. You can just directly get Docker, and you can go visit this link. I'll be giving this in description. So according to your use, you can click wherever which link you want. We'll just move to Windows as I'm using it. Also to note that I have already, I have Docker desktop in my laptop. So this, if you want, you can the x86 underscore the 60 bit variant, and you can download this. No, once you install this, like the any other software, you can open your terminal and type something called Docker version. So I'll just do this for you. Command prompt, and we go Docker. So you can see, the build a Docker version is 28.0.1, the build variant and all these things. And also you can start using Docker commands and even integrate into Docker into VS Code, so that your accessible is so easy. So basically what I did this, I'm using this terminal for my run of all these purposes for running my images and everything. Basically, now we'll just move into my project. If you want to, use my web vulnerability scanner project into your desktop, there is some several steps that you used to follow, and such, several steps, I have in this called tutorial where you just, log in. Basically, login is if you need it. I guess mostly you need to log in if you didn't do it before. Then you just pull your published images. So this is the link I have been providing. So there's been published images with my name and everything. One second, you can just see the same here, I guess. One second. Yeah, here you can see the same thing at back end and all those things. So this has been also given here. You can use both front and you can verify the images by Docker images. So it has been running and the docker.compose YAML file. So basically, what this YAML file is, it says that this particular backend, web scanner backend should run in this port, and it has been given for this port, and the front end for this 5173. All those things it will be given, and you can start the application by using the command docker compose up, hyphen d, and you can just that step 6 is check running containers like docker ps. You can even do here once again. So yeah, you can I mean I've been running this for for a long period of time just for my demo purposes. So you can see all these things. Then you can see docker logs also, you can see with this command. Once again, I mean, once again, I guess I didn't log in here. I'll just log in. You can do login also. If you want, you can stop the application. All these things you can, and on the other hand, we can also see that my project. You can come and see. Here is my project, web vulnerability scanner, and once again, I'll be opening this. So basically, this is how my project looks like. You just give up the link. There's been some test it will be doing something like the cross scripting, SQL injection, local file intrusion, SSL and TLS, and all these things. This security features that has been checking. And I have this the one main thing about this. You should only scan the websites you own or have explicit permission to test. Unauthorized scanning may be illegal sometimes. You should always do ethically what you do. So basically, the about the features of web vulnerability scanner of my project, what has been I'm using, the guidelines, basically the legal notice and everything. On the client version, you can also see what it has been running, and you can see what the process has been. You can see some error, something like, because this example.com is not existing in real time. So if you enter a real website that you want authorized, you can just do this, and all you can run the scan. On the other hand, coming to my blog, you can see I have given a detailed description about what I did about this project, vulnerability scanner analysis, like end-to-end Dockerization for a production-ready web vulnerability scanner. You can see the introduction, project objectives, and what parts I did. I also successfully demonstrated the project, Docker showdown, in my college, in for the club ACM student chapter we did Chennai at number 5. And you can also see this process, the architecture overview, and the data flow diagram, and the commands for basically what you do with the Docker commands, and the testing commands, and API testing examples also there has been given. So there's some output screenshot I have been pasting here. So this is one real example I gave. So I just added this URL and the title server and all these things. On the other hand, you can just find the GitHub and the Docker repository links here, and conclusion is also been given. So basically, before ending this video session, I will be just thanking my faculty, Dr. Sublakshmi ma'am, for a valuable guidance, throughout this course. Basically, this course, cloud computing has, given me a beautiful opportunity to learn, like, not only about a textbook's point of view to use Docker. Basically, we use Docker something. So this will be in developer point of view, in a student point of view. For me, it has been more useful in this current days. For past 2 months, I've been using this. So apart from just reading from textbook point of view, I have been building a real-time project in this Docker. So this has been very useful for me. Thank you, ma'am. So with this note, I would like to also conclude in overall. Thank you all.